Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Today I speak with Ash McConchie from Vision 360. We discuss the world of flipping and fixing homes. You obviously love this business. Tell me what you love the most about it. Today, an absolute exclusive. Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Welcome, Ash. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. My name's Ash McConchie, owner of Vision 360. We're a construction company in Christchurch specialising in the relevelling of homes, but the adding of value and renovation of residential houses in Christchurch.
Fantastic. Can you tell me, firstly, what inspired you to get into this part of the construction industry?
Yeah, many builders straight away go into the cookie cutter, flat plan, brand new housing. I've always liked probably going for the more difficult, pulling apart a problem, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing the things that others are scared to do, like going in and actually figuring out why the problem is and how you can fix it, but then also how you can do it the most economical way. Yeah.
Brilliant. And so do clients come to you when they've got potentially an earthquake drama or some, levelling that needs to be done, and then it turns into a bigger sort of renovation, I guess?
Yeah, so as you know, in Christchurch, we had an earthquake 10, 11 years ago. So many of our clients will come to us with what they initially think is an earthquake problem. We can show them and unpack how to fix that at the most economical level. Also making sure that our clients receive a really good paperwork pack at the end of it, like including engineering, building consent, so it's got a really sellable package. But as these houses are now 10 years post-earthquake, they've seen little to no renovation, so they're often very tired, rundown kitchens, rundown bathrooms. So we actually provide the from start to finish package, so it's from day one, we can engage an engineer. We illustrate how we're going to level it in the most economical fashion, but then also provide a fixed price on here's a new bathroom and here's all the little items we're going to use, here's a kitchen and here's a 3D, what that's going to look like. Right through to just old-fashioned renovations like opening up between the lounge and the kitchen or putting a ranch side or a deck at the back, and really just helping our clients add value to the property.
Fantastic. If people are looking perhaps at buying something to resell, to add value to and sell on, are you involved obviously in that market as well?
Yeah, it's probably become our real niche and speciality, where clients will contact us at a property's on market, they'll send me the package, we'll look through, we'll find the levels, we'll find the defects. And for many clients, we can provide like a feasibility estimate, just like a line-by-line breakdown of estimates of what things are going to cost at a reasonably conservative level. If they're then successful with that, then we'll usually go out the following week and provide a big, broken down fixed price quote. And from that, we've got great planning software that then we'll show them like a big Gantt chart of how we're going to get from point A to point B and what sort of timeline that's going to take. So we've got clients out of Auckland, Wellington, where they can be remote, get sent a weekly update, know where it's on target and know where it is relative to the original quote.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have clients perhaps coming to you saying, we want to find a property with some opportunity for some profit, for some upside? Like, when do you get involved in the process?
Yeah, certainly. Like the network we've developed, yes, there's always someone looking to do something.
Yes.
Opportunity finding's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but you can certainly point people in the right direction. And I always feel one of the points that people miss is probably just getting themselves fully ready for that opportunity so they're ready to go when it's in front of them.
Yes.
Like a lot of people want the opportunity, but then when it's put in front of them, they're actually not as ready as they think they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would make them more ready? Obviously, finance in place.
Yeah, so finance is obviously one, but beyond that, like from a builder's point of view, would probably just be identifying their willingness of risk. Like obviously,
Yes.
the harder or the worse a house is, like the more unbuyable it is at the start, the add value is probably higher.
Yes.
I always think a really good first project is when the end sale price is in that first home buyer's realm.
Right.
Because then you're essentially selling a house that I see as a necessity to Christchurch
Yes.
rather than a want or a need.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
once you break through that, in Christchurch, call it the 650 realm, you start getting into that buyer that is into their second or third house. So they start getting a little more picky.
A bit more fussy.
Yeah, whereas when we're back at that first home buyer, by the time we've re-leveled it, it's all had consent, it's got a brand new kitchen, new appliances, new carpet, you just can't beat it. Like, it will sell.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are most of the properties what we'd call as is where is? Is that pretty much what your clients are buying?
Yep. So both, as is where is has become a very specific term in Christchurch. But as much, we do have some clients just buying a old derelict house.
Yeah.
Something that's just, not been looked after, run down, rusted, spouting, all sorts. Other parts of the country, they'd probably call that as is where is as well. But in a nutshell, buying properties with a problem. So whether it's run down, out of level, something, maybe even leaky home.
I was going to say, do you do monolithic?
Yep. Recently, I'd say within the last year, that's become much more of a problem for a buyer to be buying a monolithic, non-reclad home. So we're seeing a lot more of that at the moment. We've got 3 planned for early next year.
Wow.
Yeah,
because we're noticing that still some owners have no idea what no cavity means. And, you hate to be the bearer of bad news, but these homes are tricky to sell,
Yeah, they are. They're tricky to sell. They can be expensive to repair. There's certainly a bit of a scale, though. Like, you can de-risk it a wee bit by, let's say, an add value buyer buying a single story that has eaves.
Yes.
It's likely harder for a normal buyer to buy, but the risk of it actually having rocked right through it is probably pretty low.
Yes.
So through recladding it, you can restore its full value and some even.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah.
Are there any red flags that you think, buyers should look out for? Are there things they just shouldn't touch or shouldn't touch at a certain value, I guess?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a tricky question. Like, there's red flags right throughout the price scale, I'd say. For someone new into flipping, I definitely, the common red flag I see is probably often if they've become to the position in life where they look at trying to buy to sell, they're probably in a house of worth more value than the house they're buying.
Yes.
So often what they think is needed in a house can be far beyond what the end result needs to be. I think through pulling it apart, and I always think the best way to do that is put yourself in the shoes of the buyer at the other end. What would that buyer like?
Yes.
And right down to just a family wanting a bathtub within a bathroom. A very common and I think a great value add nowadays is an ensuite.
Yes.
People now think they need an ensuite rather than it used to be a luxury beyond a certain value. So if you can squeeze an ensuite into a 3-bedroom house and all of a sudden the mum and dad can go, whoa, we've got our own bathroom. Yeah, it's a huge add value.
Yeah. I often think buyers want storage and they want heating. And there are 2 things as an agent I was surprised to learn when I first started how much importance, those sort of things. It's just looking at that end user, right? And saying, and you made a great point. We think you've got to renovate it with a stone bench and a walk-in pantry, but actually first home buyers aren't expecting that. So you need to kind of, make it a bit of budget reality.
Yeah, and I guess someone getting into the buying and selling game, if you can get to the other end and you've ticked all the boxes, but because you haven't put a stone bench, for example, you might be able to sell it at a slightly sharper point and move that property quicker. That's one way of de-risking it. You'll see once in a blue moon someone that has just spent and there's all sorts between engineered flooring, stone benches, and all of these things that they'd personally like, and all of a sudden they're asking too much for the property that, in like almost a suburb record price.
Yes, and it just doesn't compare value for what other buyers can buy in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I always, if possible, if you can get the people from the lounge out to a back deck, I think Kiwis always love that, just through an old-fashioned ranch slider.
Yeah.
If they can picture themselves having a barbecue, watching the kids.
Yeah. We want that indoor-outdoor flow, don't we?
Yeah.
Garaging, how important do you think that is?
I personally like garages, but I think in the last 5 years, I've really come to notice Kiwis don't put cars in garages. They use them for bikes, lawnmowers, everything else but the cars. So tidy lock-up garage, I think, is great, but I don't think it's always a deal breaker.
Yes.
For many, especially in that first home buyer's realm, if a home buyer can have a garage installed by a Skyline, a Versatile, one of those sort of companies, quite simply. But yeah, garages aren't used as garages like they used to be.
Exactly. Ash, we see a lot of properties that were originally bought as is where is. They've now been repaired and consented a lot of times, with those repairs. What's your advice to buyers out there looking at that type of property? Is that a property you'd recommend, or how should they assess it?
Yeah, really good question. I personally, I guess, applaud these as is where is. The guys that have bought them, repaired them to a high standard, and to give you an example, most of the time the guys are buying them as is where is, having them independently engineered, council consented, and then inspected and signed off at the other end. Done well, that is a hugely confident package of how the house has been repaired. In the early days of Christchurch, post-earthquake, there were many houses that got repaired by an EQC assessment, and here's a sheet of what to do. So to have buyers more confident in buying that than a property that was purchased as is, where is, engineered and council consented, at times, it can seem funny to me. So when I do have buyers or friends or family looking at a property that was repaired as is, where is, I'll simply review the documents or recommend get a really good building report, get them to inspect, was it done per code, per the plans, per MBIE recommendations, and if it was, have total confidence in it.
Yeah, you make such a great point, because I think there's a lot of us that are still a little fearful of, how good these repairs were. But what you're saying is, in a lot of cases, they were done by people that were doing this, in really good faith.
Yeah, and the work we do now gets designed by an independent engineer, signed off by an independent engineer. So they physically get under the floor and inspect the packing. They look at it. They come out for site inspections when we're pouring concrete and all sorts. So, you can have a lot of confidence in that. And one thing you can do is ask, when looking at a property that is now presented to market, that was as is where is, download the package and read it front to back, understand what was done to the property, and gain confidence that way.
Yeah, brilliant. In terms of the levels for Christchurch, we're still finding some homeowners coming to market, and then we get a building report done and the levels are out. Can you give us a bit of insight into what is insurable, what isn't, what are the levels supposed to be? Yeah,
so there's two real tests really. You've got no more than 50 millimetres anywhere in the dwelling. And then the second test is a little more subjective. It's no more than 0.5% gradient anywhere in the house. So that's more like your steep humps and bumps through like a timber floor. That works out to be 5 millimetres per metre.
Right.
So often that one will trigger your 1930s timber floor, and they're all a little crooked. But your concrete floors of 300 square metres, it can be 60 mils out, and you just won't feel it when the house is that big.
If it's over that threshold, then insurance companies get nervous.
Yeah, they certainly do. There's a little asterisk next to it. Like some houses do have pre-existing levels beyond those, often those early 1900s. And some of those have an engineer that have been through and explained and illustrated why it's insurable. They're a slightly sort of different kettle of fish. Once it's beyond 50 millimetres, Yep, black and white. You will have nervous insurers. It will be hard to sell. It is not uncommon now. Like, I still sort of get that phone call once a fortnight of a seller on market. It's out of level, and what do we do?
Yeah.
So I think for buyers, they need to really stand back. And I always think the big test is, you may have fallen in love with it now, you may have pictured the kids in every bedroom and yada yada, but you need to stand back and go, if I tried to sell this myself next year and it's 65 mils out, could I sell it? And if the answer is it's going to be tough, you need to act like it's going to be tough now.
Yeah, 100%. And don't let emotion carry you away. You want to really think about these things methodically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who's perhaps looking at doing a little bit of flipping, coming into the market and getting involved in this?
I'd say seek the right people. A good contractor, like you'll see initially, sometimes people come to us, get a quote for an all-encompassing job, and I've seen it a few times over the years where someone will try and then piecemeal the job to themselves. Nearly every time they'll miss all the little pieces in between, and you also watch them and the job takes them 6 months rather than a job that could be achieved in 12 weeks.
Yes.
So it is very much, I guess, can you de-risk it? Can you get the right people, get recommendations, maybe from your network? They might know a great builder or a great plumber. Get a good network of tradies together who can guarantee a timeline on a fixed price quote and get the job done well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, obviously if you've got borrowing every month that you're, sitting out there not having sold or not having completed your project is costing money. So, the quicker you can do it, and I guess with doing it with a company like yourself, you're giving them all the paperwork, all the, things that they need to resell, because the first-time buyers do need a lot of due diligence, don't they?
Yeah, and if you can put that package together that a lawyer can critique it and they're going, that's great, fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the other one as well, you say the cost of borrowing, but there's also the opportunity costs. Like, if you can go from doing 2 per year to 3 per year, just through using a company that's more efficient at getting start to finish, that has a massive gain.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. So you don't want to get stuck in a false economy that it's cheaper if I just do it myself and it takes me 6 months rather than 3. So get some good people around you. Yeah. Ash, thank you so much. It's been invaluable advice and great hearing about the world of flipping and renovation.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Grenadier podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Please give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it.